Oh, hang on one sec.
Hello and welcome everyone to another wonderful edition of Transform Your Relationships. It is Laura Rubinstein with the awesome and wonderful, not sure which side you're showing on, but Rhoberta Shaler. Hi.
Hi, it's so great to be here with the awesome and wonderful Laura Rubinstein.
Hey, thanks. So, just before we get started, let's tell people where they can continue to reach out to us. And I need to make you a host too. Where are you? There you are, your hope. All right, for relationship help is where you can find Dr. Rhoberta Shaler and all her wonderful information. Transformtoday.com is where you can find me and my blogs. And we have lots of information. We want to continue to be a resource to you. But today, Rhoberta, I know we're going to talk about a very powerful topic that you've done extensive research and work on in passive aggression.
Yes, it's something that's so sneaky. It's sneaky anger, and we see it all the time, and we need to know how to identify it as a pattern and know what to do about it. And it's one of those things that goes in the rubric of crazy making. So years ago, I wrote an ebook called "Stop That's Crazy Making: How to Quit Playing the Passive Aggressive Game," and I've written another book called the Hijackal Trap Passive Aggressive Edition, because this is just so important to talk about. If you don't know this is happening to you, you start to think it's your fault.
I know. And you know, it's interesting. Passive aggressive behavior, some people just throw that term out. And I think we should define what is passive aggressive behavior and what is not passive aggressive. Because it seems like there's an intent for control with a passive aggressive someone who's exhibiting that.
You're absolutely right, Laura. Absolutely right. And there's really two parts to passive aggressive behavior. The first one is an indirect, very important, resistance to the requests or demands of other people. And the second part is an avoidance of direct confrontation. And so one or the other or both are present when you're really experiencing passive aggressive behavior. And this can look like a variety of ways. It can be like pouting or procrastinating or giving someone the silent treatment or stealing their credit or forgetting. Forgetting is a big one. Misplacing something important, can't find it in time. These things, when they are patterns, not just occasional events, are really worth noting, because the other person is telling you something about who they are.
I also notice that some people think their partners or friends or colleagues who are passive aggressive. I think because there is a pattern in passivity as well.
Yeah, there
that doesn't have an aggressive nature to it.
No, and why that confusion exists, at least in one way, is that when someone is passive, they're not forthcoming. So it's hard to figure out what they think or what they need or what they want. And then often it does go with being passive aggressive, because they don't have the strength or the assertiveness to tell you what they want or think or need or feel. But when you don't give it to them, they're upset. And that's the edge of passive aggressive. So that's where the fine line comes there, because some people are just passive and they don't believe they deserve anything, so they don't put it out there. But when it flips over to that side, well, I asked you if you needed something, and now you're making wrong for not giving it to you when you told me you didn't need anything. Now we're into passive aggressive territory.
Huge distinction. I think so. It takes two to tango here, right?
Absolutely. Not play passive aggressive alone.
Yeah. So there's a triggering event, and then the passive aggressive behavior gets triggered is maybe a result. And how do we get out of this pattern, or how do we identify we're in it or we're cause of it? Stop it. These are like important questions I think people should start asking.
Well, they sure are. I mean, let's talk about it looking at somebody else rather than ourselves first, because it's easier to see. So what if you're with a partner, for instance, and you say to your partner, Could you? I'm really jammed on Saturday, and I've got to fly out on Sunday morning. Could you get the dry cleaning? And the partner says, yeah, sure. And because you've been around this person for a while, you say, well, you're really sure that you can do it, because I can't do it, and I really need my suit to fly out on Sunday morning. Yeah, of course. I said I'd do it. No worries, right? So Saturday night, you come back and you say, I can't find the dry cleaning. And the partner says, don't you think I have better things to do than run your errands? That's passive aggressive.
As opposed to if the partner says, oh, I forgot.
If the partner says, I forgot, and it's the first time that's ever happened or the second time in your entire relationship, believe the partner. But if forgetting, misplacing, not taking responsibility for things is a pattern, then we're probably dealing with passive aggressive behavior.
Possibly, yeah. Yeah. I know someone who regularly forgets, and now I know that that's just something that it cannot be asked if I really need something, right?
Exactly.
That's the other thing to know. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so it's a regular habit in all areas. This person likes to say, I'm lazy. And doesn't put in place ways to remember.
You know, like I had an incident of this just the other day. I was going to meet somebody, and I said, how about 2 o'clock? And they said, no, it really only works in my schedule for 1 o'clock. I said, well, I'm having lunch with someone. I'd have to leave a little early, but if you can only do 1, I will do it. So I left that place, and at 10 to 1, I get a phone call, and she says, I'm going to be late, and I just wanted to let you know I'll be there at 1:30. And I said, oh, that's too bad, because I just left my lunch. And her response was, well, that's life. Took no responsibility at all for I'm sorry. And then when I debriefed it with her, she said, well, I didn't like the fact that you tried to make me feel guilty by saying you just left your lunch. Well, I wasn't trying to make her feel guilty. That was a fact. If I had known earlier, I wouldn't have left my lunch early, right? But she wanted to turn it on me and make it, well, you know, what's wrong with you? I'm letting you know I'm going to be late, and you certainly don't have the right to tell me that I interfered with your plan. So when we were debriefing it, I said, you know, one thing you need to know about me is that when I say I'll be somewhere at 1 o'clock, I'll be there unless I get, you know, I'm caught in an accident or lying dead in the gutter, right? And so I honor my time commitments. They're not movable feasts to me. So, you know, sure, we all need an hour. We all need some wiggle room, but you know, this is a pattern, and when it's a pattern, you have to do something about it.
And either you take responsibility over here, or you accept, you know, not everybody's always, it's what it is to be a human being is to break agreements. It just happens. Whether it's an accident, an unfortunate circumstance, a forgetful moment, a poor planning, whatever. That's part of life.
Yes.
I mean, we do, and life works really, really well and much better the more agreements we keep.
Exactly.
So there are consequences to not, like getting a comment back that made her feel guilty, you know? And so what if that made her feel guilty? That's fine for her to feel like she feel guilt. That means, okay, she felt guilty about it. Well, that's okay. But that's not a reason for not taking responsibility.
No, it's not a reason for not apologizing, you know, to say, oh, yeah, I know it's late notice, or doing something. Now, I know this person really well, and this is not a usual event. And so, you know, we debriefed it and got out of it, but many people don't. So one thing, you can debrief it with someone and tell them how you feel, but if the person has a pattern of it and you then have to set some boundaries, you have to say something. And then you also have to, well, you know, my mom was a hijackal, so my mom had an edge to her, and she used to say, she'd be recalling a conversation of someone, and she'd say, well, I really took the wind out of her sails, you know, meaning, whoa, you know, after I was
vengefulness there.
I think I was 15 when I turned to my mom and said, well, why don't you just take your sail out of her wind? And it's important for us to learn when to take our sail out of somebody's wind. If they're passive aggressive all the time, you need to notice.
Would you repeat what you said to your mom, because you froze for a second?
Oh, okay. Well, my mom had always said I took the wind out of her sails, and she was, you know, really triumphant that she trampled somebody. And I said to her, well, why wouldn't you just take your sail out of her wind?
Yeah, really good idea.
So, you know, after a while, if we can't work something out and the behavior continues, then take your sail out of their wind. Don't expect them to keep their commitments. Don't even ask them for it, and you won't be disappointed, because there is an expectation of compliance, and apparently there isn't a will to comply.
Right. So take responsibility for making your life work, especially if people have exhibited a pattern, whether it's intentional or not intentional. Some people just have this way of being that kind of looks intentional, but it might not be.
Well, they learned it. Mm-hmm. You know, they learned it. I mean, you learn to be passive aggressive. If it's not safe, you know, say you got a really domineering mom, right, or dad, and your kid, and it's not safe when your mother says, take out the trash. It's not safe to say, no, I'm not going to do that right now. What do you say? Yeah, I will. Yeah, I will. Yeah, I will. Because I'm not willing to directly confront and tell the truth in the moment. So I'm willing to take the flack on the back end. And then as I get older and more skilled at it, I don't take the flack. I blame the person for even asking me.
But I think the biggest takeaway, or one of the biggest takeaways, not the biggest, is to
you froze
not assume what other people's intentions are. So as to not assume what other people's intentions are.
Yeah, that's a really big
behind
one,
their behavior.
Because if we make assumptions or presumptions,
yeah,
you know, you got to be prepared to be wrong all the time.
And it's a habit to do that because you might be afraid to confront, so it's easier to assume. And then if you're assuming the worst and it's not, you know, really their intention, then you're frustrated for no reason.
You have to be willing to do your part to have clear communication. Many times people don't make agreements with enough conversation. Will you do this? Yep. And that's the end of the conversation. Yet there's no trust built. But I'm afraid if I follow up and say, you know, this is really important to me and I really need it, and I just want you to know how much you're helping me and how much I need this to happen. If I ask the other person to figure out, you really do have time in your schedule, because I don't want to put something in there that you know will be really hard for you. If you have some further conversation, you know, take 2 minutes rather than 2 seconds to make an agreement.
I love that. And part of me is thinking, okay, well, if you're saying all this and you're making, you know, a 2-minute conversation, and there's this feeling like, I'm not sure they're saying yes, but I'm getting this feeling that it might not happen.
Well,
what do you do about that?
That's a great question, because you got that feeling and you do your best to confirm that it can happen and it will happen. If the pattern occurs, then don't be asking. Notice that learn about the other person. You know, I've told you so many times, I've told everybody on this blog so many times, that if you're in my office and you see the sign on the wall, big 12-inch gold letters. You've been there, Laura. It says, the truth is what you do, not what you say you're going to do. It's what you actually do. So, oh, there you go. See, I said it before. But when somebody starts showing you who they are by what they do, believe them. Don't make up a story that, oh, they didn't mean it, or, oh, they're having a bad day, or whatever. Believe them. They're showing you who they are by what they do. That's what every single person does. So if the behavior and the words don't align, then believe the behavior. It's disappointing, yes, to not have somebody that you can count on, but who wants to surround themselves with people you can't count on?
So it's interesting how we have these feelings of like, okay, well, I have this feeling this person isn't going to keep the commitment no matter how big conversation and agreement verbally or even in writing I get. And the only way to, what I'm hearing you say and what I have found to be true is to trust yourself. Okay, you're getting this feeling. It probably isn't going to happen. So go ahead and take care of yourself. Don't ask that person for a commitment, right? Don't ask that person for a commitment. If you know at some level they can't, don't ask that person for a commitment from which you would be disappointed if they did not keep.
You'll make the other person wrong, and you will entrench their behavior more, right? So that doesn't work on any level. So don't be doing it. And yes, you're disappointed.
Right.
And you have to recalibrate your relationship with that person. There are some people I dearly love who I wouldn't ask for anything because they just can't get it together to get there in time. But that doesn't mean I discard them from my life. I just stop asking them for anything that might be reciprocal.
Yeah, I do that too. I ask if I make a plan with somebody I know regularly isn't able to keep the plan. I only make it for a time that I'm okay if they cancel. And it limits, it's unfortunate because it does limit the relationship. I wouldn't ask them to a concert or something that, that I'd be really disappointed if they didn't go.
Oh, no, I was just affirming what you said, because after a while, you can't be fully engaged with that person because you've set up a little landmine that you don't want to step on at any time. And when you're doing that, then there's lack of trust. When there's lack of trust, you don't feel good being around that person. Mm-hmm. So over time, usually these relationships fade away. It's.
Or you make that adjustment to not ask them.
And then you feel like, oh,
to do things, and
the relationship becomes too much work sometimes.
But not asking them to do it is no work, and that's really what I'm hearing is it's about setting boundaries, taking care of yourself so that it isn't a lot of work. And if you're in this passive aggressive pattern, it does take the two entities to kind of conform to that, one always asking, the other one always promising but not delivering. And you need to there's only one person you can have an impact on, and it's yourself. So you have a choice. There is a choice. Stay frustrated at that other person, keep making the demands and getting disappointed, or
and
stop making the requests.
Else about you don't have to leave the relationship. The fact that somebody leaves the kitchen a mess all the time and you don't, is that a deal breaker, or is that I value cleanliness, they value speed? How do we work that out? I love the person dearly, but we have a kitchen issue. I've had people in my private practice who say, well, I can't live with somebody who's as messy as that. But it wasn't messy or not messy that attracted you to that person. So there are things that we all don't do very well. And sometimes all passive aggressive people have had experiences in their life where they believed that if they told the truth, there would be a conflict and a confrontation. So they've learned not to tell the truth in the first time out. When they agree to do what you ask them, they have no intention of doing it. But they do not want the conflict. That's a true passive aggressive person. Then there are people who really want to be able to do that for you, but they're so disorganized internally that they can't fulfill their promise. There are different levels of this. It's definitely not a black or white issue. It's not a come towards me, go away issue. Something you have to work with and think about and develop and make agreements about.
And take a look at yourself because I know in a previous life when I was involved in a relationship, there was a passive aggressive pattern in it, and it evolved over time, interestingly enough. And the more I didn't want to look at myself, not that I knew this consciously, and looking back, I was able to see, the more frustrated I got, it was kind of with the other person, the more I didn't have to look at myself because it was always the other person. And that was a convenient way for me to avoid my own feelings about myself. And so focusing on this passive aggressive pattern and being able to project and blame the other person was a really good avoidance tool for me.
Great insight. You get 100 gold stars for that one.
So anybody who's dealing with a passive aggressive situation, there's a huge opportunity to take a look at what's going on here. What do I need? What am I not looking at? And if the only thing you can think about is the other person and how they're doing you wrong, that's cutting off your opportunity to have some personal freedom and growth there. And I didn't know that at the time, but when that relationship ended, it was just me.
Yeah, and you can't know it
I got to see all this good stuff.
That sounds simplistic, but it's just true. You can't know it till you do. And we have to also know that we may be setting people up to be passive aggressive. Like if we can't be spoken to, if we can't hear no, right? If the other person is assertive and says, I'd love to do that for you, but I can't. And then we start grilling them about why they can't and telling them that they should. We're pushing that other person to possible passive aggression with us because it's just easier to slough them off. Now, they won't do that if they don't have it in their background. But, what am I contributing to that? Am I actually like becoming an interrogator if you won't do what I want you to do? And so I'm participating as part of the problem, just as you were saying. So self-reflection is really important.
Yeah, and that in and of itself could heal the pattern if it wasn't an initial pattern there. If you get, I think I'm becoming this interrogator, pushy person, if you have that ability to take a look and say, oh gosh, I didn't even realize that. But like you said, you don't know.
Yeah,
what was it?
Exactly.
You don't know until you do.
If we all knew, we really knew, we'd be different. But we don't know things until we do, and then all of a sudden, you can have something happen 23 times in your life, and you make a reason for it, and then the 24th time you go, wow, I see that interaction completely differently. Who knew, right? So you don't really know until you do. And so don't be beating people up, including yourself, for not knowing, but begin to be open to the conversations within yourself, as Laura pointed out, which is so important. And then be open to having a conversation with someone else that sounds like this. I want you to know that if I ask you to do something and you don't want to or you don't have time to, it's perfectly all right with me to say you can't. It's perfectly all right with me. In fact, that would make me trust our relationship even more. Can we make an agreement to do that? Now you've taken away the reason for the person to be passive aggressive because they weren't going to be assertive because they were afraid they'd disappoint you, or they're afraid you were going to get into it with them. So if you can take that,
as long as you can keep your end of the bargain, that I'll be perfectly all right if you say no.
Not just no, but if you're in a tight an intimate relationship with someone, you want to hear more than no. You want to share with each other what's going on in your life so that you have a deeper experience with each other.
Exactly. I love that. I hope this time has really awoken some people who are struggling with what looks like either a passive or passive aggressive interaction to take a deeper look. And I know you have a resource, this passive aggressive checklist for people. I think it's huge. It'll first help people identify whether or not they're in that kind of a pattern support. Will you tell people where they can get that?
Absolutely. It's free and it comes in 2 parts. So it's at passiveaggressivechecklist.com. No hyphens. Passiveaggressivechecklist.com. And you take the first one, and if you get a certain score, it'll send you on to the second one because you need more information. But that will help you know. You take the passive aggressive checklist with a certain person in mind, and then you do it that way. And then you'll learn about your relationship with that person. And in the meantime, you'll learn a lot about passive aggression.
I did when I took it, and I also had someone else take it who thought they were with a passive aggressive type person and behavior, and turns out they weren't. So it was very enlightening. The distinction between being with someone passive versus passive aggressive, and how do we deal with it. So thank you for those awesome resources. I also wanted to share a resource. If you're really looking to take a deeper dive into yourself on your own side, I have the Feminine Power cards that really help you nurture yourself through self-awareness. One of the things I found is that when one takes a deeper look at themselves, one can beat oneself up pretty bad, especially if you're kind of a critical person like I have mastered. And so through my journey, and what made it easier is to have a lot of self-compassion for myself. And how I got there, I put all those tips in the Feminine Power cards. So that one, what?
And they're lovely.
Yeah. And they're lovely. Thank you. So there's some wisdom there to support you in taking a look at yourself, and as you take a look at the interactions you have that, Rhoberta, you offer so well.
Yeah, well, we do our best to provide things for people that will be immediately helpful, because that's what we want to offer. And so why not? Right? What? Well, that's interesting. Hello.
That was cool. I don't know how that happened, but I tried to put in the Feminine Power, and the YouTube came up. So maybe that's because it's on my site, but I don't think it is. That's weird. We'll have to try that. Anyway, we will be back with another edition of Transform Your Relationships in a couple of weeks. So any last parting advice and wisdom from you, Rhoberta?
No, I'll just reiterate things you brought up and I've brought up. Start by looking in the mirror rather than at the other person. Sometimes you're a button pusher and you don't realize it. Sometimes you're asking something of someone that they don't have to give. And so start there. And when you're looking at passive aggressive behaviors, instead of being angry at how they are, become compassionate about what they're doing. And I'm very, very strong about have compassion, but don't condone or enable the behaviors.
Hear, hear, and don't get frustrated by it if you can do something to take responsibility. I love it. All right, everyone, we will be back again. Thank you for listening to another edition of
everyone. Bye-bye.
Transform Your Relationships. Bye.